Welcome.
Welcome.
We could always do like a ridiculous intro if we wanted to. If we really wanted to.
That's true.
All right.
But I really don't want to. Not today. Not today.
Not today. Well, I will tell you this. So, last week I did the intro of the Ghostbusters song.
Yeah.
Which I quite enjoyed. I tried posting the Ghostbusters intro song as part of a clip to Instagram, and within 20 seconds, they had deleted the video.
Yeah.
No Ghostbusters for you. Instagram is fucking cracking down on that shit. I've seen it more and more, and actually a couple people had posted in the recent weeks, people that I follow that have included something that was technically considered copyright material.
We call them copyright Nazis.
Yeah, for sure. Like, what assholes do you hire? Like, do you think it's a person or a bot?
Well, the algorithm spots it automatically and flags it.
Okay, because I was like, there's no way a human found this in 20 seconds.
But copyright owners can search and flag your content as well.
Gotcha.
Without any provocation. Big word.
How cool would it be if the guy who wrote the Ghostbusters song was in fact the person who decided to report me?
So it's that black rapper dude?
Yeah.
It was something strange in the neighborhood.
Yeah. Chris, I wouldn't even do that. They're going to kick us off again. They're going to delete our material.
It sounds too much like them.
Yeah.
Because I used to do impressions. I used to do live karaoke impression sessions at local villas and studio halls.
The fuck's a villa?
Well, when I travel abroad. And then, I would dress up with a mini fro and a very flamboyant colored suit that is way too baggy for me.
You're just describing Sinbad right now.
Yeah. And I would just go down there. It's like... And I'd be like, is something strange in the neighborhood? Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! And I would even do the girl voices. I also did impressions of those ladies. Right. I don't remember their names, but they were beautiful, loving women who were now in their late 60s. But yeah, I made a pretty good killing impersonating that dude.
Yeah, that's interesting because you impersonated a guy that no one knows his name.
Well, you got people that impersonate, Spider-Man or Marilyn Monroe or Jack Sparrow from Pirates of the Caribbean. No, I want something that's a little bit more cerebral.
I dig it. So last week's episode was a real shit show. The irony in the fact that it was a shit show happened to be an episode that a lot of people enjoyed. Got a lot of good feedback. One person even said shortly after the episode went live, I do think this is going to be the cult classic episode of the Hot Ticket Podcast. It's hard to dispute it now, given the fact that it was so well received.
What's weird is just tell me this, bro. Uh-huh. Is it narcissistic to listen to your own episode on repeat like 5 or 6 times?
Here's the thing. If you're doing it and you're not doing it for editing purposes, it's absolutely narcissistic.
Because I found myself almost like watching back your own comedy special.
Which no comedian does, I think.
And literally laughing at your own jokes.
Oh, boy.
How sad is that?
It's not sad. It's not sad, but it is narcissistic, I think.
Yeah.
You tell those jokes for the pleasure of others, not yourself.
I think I get off on the idea that I was like, I can't believe I was that witty or I said that.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what makes me laugh.
It was pretty funny. It was despite it being so much of a challenge for us and having to re-record, the finished product seemed to be pretty enjoyable, which is good. That's what matters.
It was mildly like, I think we were just so done.
Yeah.
We were done with it.
Yeah.
And then
I was definitely done with it.
And then you reached a point where like, fuck it. Anything goes.
Yeah,
including
that's true.
Cory going to the extreme of having to bleep out something he said.
Yeah.
Something he said.
The best part about that is when I was editing, I was editing that particular part out because I had already posted the podcast to be released the next morning.
Yeah.
As the original version, unedited, at least as far as that beep goes. Then I thought about it more, and I was like, fuck, I need to add that in there. So I had to kind of go back through, find that spot, put the beep in to cover it up. And I was sitting next to my wife at the time when I was editing, and she asked me specifically, she was like, what's the beep for? And I was like, I said this thing. And then I kind of went down the path of what I said. And she goes, she was like, that's not that bad. You've said way worse than that. And I was like, well, fuck, I already posted it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be more sensitive because we live in this world that is...
We live in a...
we live in a very sensitive world as far as like the things you say and the things that... actions that occur.
You know what it is?
It seems like there's so much more consequence.
You know who I call those people, bro? I call them marshmallows.
They are marshmallows because they're fluffy.
They're fluffy and they're too soft and too sweet.
Yeah, you know what's ridiculous is I always think back to this is the turning point for me in this whole thing was Louis C.K. and here's why. The ridiculousness of it. See, before that in this whole Me Too movement, it was the Harvey Weinstein thing, which that guy is a giant piece of fucking shit.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to just be molested by every big dick dude in jail for the rest of his life. He's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
The Louis C.K. thing, though, coming on the outside of that, was treated in a very similar manner. But here's the deal, people. Louis C.K. was just jerking off in front of women who, by the way, were there knowing that he was jerking off. He didn't whip his dick out and go, surprise, ladies. He asked permission. And they all went, okay. So we live in this sensitive world that I now recognize. So there's certain things that I say, and although should be permissible, shouldn't be a big issue, knowing that they're supposed to be funny, jovial in nature, I'm going to bleep them out because I don't want people coming down on me in a harsh manner like they've done before.
Whoa, Chris and Cory, you saying you're caving? You're caving in on the promise of you just being candid and real with
the
your
material
audience?
Is out there.
Yeah.
But it's archived for myself.
It's like, yeah. Like a little memo to
yourself. If it ever gets to a point where these things can be said and understood that they're only jokes and that's what their intention is, I will re-release the original version.
Yeah.
But until then, I don't want to deal with the flack.
Hey, hit that notification and like button now. And if we get 250,000 likes, Cory will release an unfiltered, uncensored version of episode 122.
Yeah, I sure will. You do that. I'll do more. I'll give you a fucking hand job. I'll throw in a fucking hand job in there too.
Yeah, I'll
even spit on it.
There will be a lot of signups.
All right. So what do we got today?
Brother, you know the thing is
brother.
Oh, yeah. This country was founded on capitalism and the idea that dreams do come true as long as you put in the hard work.
Was it actually founded on capitalism?
I don't know.
Because from what I know, it's founded on the backs of a lot of Native Americans.
Well, that's true. And a lot of slavery. Oof.
All interrelated to capitalism.
But here's the thing. Sure, you can say there's some gray areas or black areas in that line between ethical and not ethical business practices as it pertains to capitalism at the land of the free, where anybody can do anything and make anything of themselves whenever they so choose. Well, this is no different for this woman here. Louisiana woman arrested for selling clerical doctor's notes for students for $20 a piece.
So
arrested.
Goddamn good. Also, you should never be arrested for something like this. This is a clever business opportunity, not a reason to be jailed.
Poor Belinda Gale Fondren of Louisiana was arrested.
Oh my God, she's from Louisiana?
Yeah.
There's no one smart enough in Louisiana to pull this off.
Listen, jobs are difficult to come by in Louisiana.
Right.
You know?
Unless you're a crocodile hunter.
I think she should be commended for her creativity and entrepreneurial spirit that led her to start her own business of clerical written notes for students at not a very expensive. I mean, the reality is, for $20 a day, you don't have to go to school.
That should be like for only 10 cents a day.
Right.
You could feed these kids in Indonesia.
Yeah. And here's the thing. The way she got caught is deputies said physicians received a call from Vernon Parish School Board about absent notes. He told deputies that he didn't this is basically the physician said this.
Yeah.
He says, I didn't treat those kids. And that's how she got caught.
That's fucking hilarious. Now, where did she work? She worked at a hospital, or did she work at the school?
Belinda Fondren worked in a clerical position at the same clinic.
Gotcha. So she was just a simple administrator.
Yeah.
And she's basically like, hey, kid, $20. Slip me a 20. Slip me an Andrew Jackson. Is Andrew Jackson on the 20? Slip me an old Andy Jackson, and you get yourself a sick day.
And she's 52. Now, let me just say this. You're never too old to start your own business.
That's true.
And, I admire it because, listen, she can't be making a whole hell of a fucking lot as a clerical, assistant.
No, I'm really surprised how the way you said hold, how it came out of your mouth when you said hole, because you're like, hole.
Yeah, I'm still kind of draining. I'm still kind of getting over my cold. I'm at a good 90% now, but I'm still recovering.
Yeah, sound like you're still in the hole.
Yeah. Anyway. But Belinda, she probably didn't have anything to go on for retirement. She's like, starting to fucking day. Listen, you know what the thing is about an entrepreneur? Is they find problems and create solutions out of anything. That's what a good entrepreneur does. She saw a problem. She saw students that wanted to take time off of school to play, have sex, do drugs, right? Stay at home, play video games.
She gave them the ability to act on what they want to do.
She saw a problem, and she remedied it. She fixed it.
Yeah.
What'd she do?
Hats off to her, though, really.
She started a fucking doctor excuse notes business for $20 a pop, helping young children have a better work/school/life balance.
Yeah. It's actually, I commend her. I think it's a genius act on her part.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. She clearly didn't think it all the way through.
No.
Like, what happens when all of these parents find out that my kid's not going to school and somebody wrote them a note for dismissal?
Now, I would say she is technically a startup because it says she had 2 students. At,
just 2 clients before she got caught.
At Evans High School in Evans, Louisiana. And there was 14 excuses on 14 different occasions.
How is that considered a felony offense to where she'd literally be arrested for that?
I don't know, but
at the most, that's just a fireable offense. Why in the fuck would you ever put her in jail for that? That's not even that much money.
No, it's not.
Oh my God. I mean, is there enough room in the Louisiana prison system to house this person who is just trying to make an extra dollar? Probably, if we're being honest, it's probably pretty underpaid. If you are an administrator at a doctor's office in Louisiana, you probably ain't making a whole hell of a lot.
That's what I'm saying. And you're Louisiana, This isn't a land of opportunity. Now, she did make a good first quarter amount of revenue. She made $280 so far tax-free. Not penalty free, but or prison free. But
I still can't believe she's arrested for it.
Yeah,
that just does not seem like an arrestable offense.
$280.
Because it's not like she was embezzling money, so she wasn't taking the money. She wasn't taking money away from the doctor's office, the organization that she worked for. She was simply taking money from students to get like that
with willing customers.
I don't even know how I could be a cop and look at this lady in the face, and go, I have to arrest you for this. I'd be like, first of all, fucking genius.
Yeah,
very, very smart.
Yeah.
Because cops take bribes all the time.
You know what I would do if I was providing services to students? I would steal all the lost and found items and resell them at 50% the original cost.
That would be really funny.
Right?
Yeah.
That's good.
Lost and found sale.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good idea.
Right?
I'm surprised more schools don't do that anyway.
And then what I would do to not get caught, I would pay the school administrative staff, like a referral fee.
Everybody gets theirs.
Right.
Everybody gets theirs.
And that's
it's
so
all
I don't
clean.
get caught.
You know what? That's maybe what she needed to do. She should have found a partner in this, in my opinion. I think if she would have found a partner who could have really wrote out a solid business plan around how this was going to be executed, she may have lessened the chances of getting caught and going to jail.
I probably would have put out like a job ad on like Indeed or Glassdoor or something like that, or even LinkedIn, looking for like, I don't know, a professional thief or smuggler.
Yeah.
Or like,
Certainly you want to preface that it's part-time only.
Yeah. Or like a scammer, looking for a professional scammer.
Not a full-time gig. Yeah.
Contract to hire position.
Maybe we start with Craigslist.
Yeah, so you can probably find more on there. That's true.
You know what? I admire the creativity.
Yeah, I do too.
I admire her gumption. I admire the fucking go forward attitude of the whole thing.
Totally.
I like it. I think her being
she's a fucking
I think her being
pioneer.
arrested is ridiculous.
Listen, tech jobs are going to take away everybody's jobs in the future.
That's true.
You who do manual labor, yeah, I'm looking at you in the camera.
We're looking at you.
But the fact of the matter is, if you don't learn some tech shit, you're not going to have a job. And that's how the world is coming down on you.
Hey, and speaking of, I've got to, real quick before we move on to the next topic, someone that I work with, not someone I work with at work, but somebody that I deal with in another organization, said this saying to me the other day. And I've heard it before, but they were talking about it was more of an elementary position in terms of work and employment.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't heard this in a while, and it does actually sound a little aggressive and probably not very sensitive. He's like, yeah, it's the way the world works, we need ditch diggers too. And I was like, God, I remember hearing that a lot like 10 years ago, but you don't hear that much anymore.
No.
Because I think, again, going back to the sensitivity, saying that we need ditch diggers is a dig on anybody who performs in a blue collar job.
That's true.
I was like, I never thought about how much times have changed even in the recent 10 years to where it's like saying that now. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Even made me kind of go, ooh.
And there is no middle class.
No, there's no middle class.
It's the 2% and the poor people.
That's it.
That's it.
Episode over. So this is kind of crazy. There was a hunter in Arkansas who was hunting for deer, shot a deer. This is in Arkansas, by the way. So we've got a story from Louisiana and a story from Arkansas, arguably the two worst states in the United States. And let me tell you why this guy died. So a hunter is hunting deer in Arkansas, which, by the way, Arkansas is beautiful in most parts. Mm-hmm. I highly recommend, if you're going to go to Arkansas, go to the Ozarks, especially this time of year. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I Arkansas all of it when I was there.
This hunter shot a deer and then went to track it. So the natural progression of hunting a deer is shooting it, and then the deer, of course, typically always runs off. It can run up to multiple football fields. There's times of which it's very hard to retrieve them, which is why you have tracking dogs and so on and so forth. I'm learning you. He went to track the deer, found it, the deer's laying, and he goes to grab the deer, and the deer pops up and takes its antlers and goes, "Gah! Gah! Gah!" and kills him. Fucking killed him. Like straight to the chest. 3 different times. Fucking Gordon with his antlers and killed the dude right there.
Oh my
Talk
God.
about animal justice. I think deer are getting intelligent. I think he was playing dead.
He could have been. I mean, he could have been hit. I mean,
the deer was shot, so I think the deer ended up dying. But before he died,
but I'll
got
tell you
his.
what, a deer on cocaine,
or
some drug, heroin,
will fuck you up.
I've seen heroin people take shots and keep coming at you.
Yeah, there's a video of this guy
Heroin deer are,
you know, this
deer are
was.
real.
Do you remember like when like you not YouTube videos, but there was like certain websites that like it wasn't YouTube. I forget who it was at the time. There was like E-Bombs World that had some videos, and there's some other places, some other outlets.
Yeah.
But they would show you like really disturbing stuff that you would never see on TV. There was no access to the videos
like
anymore.
Morgue Files was like another one or something.
There's like that. Remember the like one dude who like committed suicide?
Yeah.
You
black
see
and
him
white video.
Yeah, you see him shoot himself in the head, and it was like the biggest, craziest thing at the time. Now, and now you see shit, and you're just like, okay, yeah,
you're so desensitized.
Killed himself. Who gives a fuck?
Thanks, media.
But there was a video of this black guy who walks out of his house, and he's like hopped up on all kinds of drugs.
Yeah.
And there is a gaggle of cops outside of his place.
so if it's more than one cop, it's called gaggle of cops.
Yeah. I've been using that term a lot. I don't know why, because really it only pertains to geese. But anyway, so there's a whole gaggle of cops outside this guy's house, and he comes out the door, and he's got a firearm in his hand. And this is an old school video. I mean, it looks like it's shot on a VHS camera. That's how old it is. And these cops just start firing at him. And as they're firing at him, he's still walking forward. I think they said they put over 50 bullets in him, and it wasn't until like pretty much halfway through this fairly short video where he actually starts to go down, but he like goes onto one knee, and literally you just see his chest just like pop, 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 and he's still walking towards them, and he's like yelling at him. He's like, motherfuckers. This guy was so amped up. I thought for a second he was a Black Hawk. I was like, holy fucking shit. He's literally going to reach out and grab at least one of these officers and pull their neck off of their fucking head.
Dude.
But luckily at like bullet 50, it finally got him. And then he like went down to a knee, and then he finally collapsed.
Dude, he's fucking Black Wolverine, like regenerative powers.
It was the most intense video. At the time, it was the most intense video I'd ever seen.
Wow.
I was like, holy shit. So it just goes to show you, you get a guy amped up on drugs.
Like a cracked out deer.
You get a deer hopped up on drugs. This deer can do anything.
Could you imagine, like, you're walking up and he's got his buddy, his spotter with him, right? It's like, oh my God, Mark, look at the fucking buck you caught, man. It's easily like a fucking, like, I don't know. What are the lengths that they give him? Like, in like
a point
20
system.
Inches? Yeah, it's
point.
like 20. It's like a 20 buck right there.
Like
God.
a 14-point
Mark,
buck.
that's a fucking killer buck, bro. He's like, man, I fucking know it, dude. And he's like, all right, you walk up and fucking pull it up and I'll take a photo. And he goes up. He's like, oh my God, this is the best fucking buck ever. And then he's like, he starts to go there and he's like, no. And then like, he's like, oh fuck, he's still alive. And then like just captured on film. You're watching this guy just get obliterated.
It would have been pretty wild if the guy had a body cam on.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, like,
God, that'd be. Oof.
Oh God, he's still alive.
Dude, you imagine cleaning up that mess? Could you imagine? Okay, so before you put the pieces together, there's likely going to be a dead deer and a dead guy, and someone's going to be looking at this when they find him going, what in the fuck happened?
No, bro. I got one better. One day later, on Facebook, you see a new profile pop up and a new profile photo. It's the deer holding up the head of the hunter. Like what I call a fucking human. That's a 10-point human right there.
Dude, the will to live is crazy, man. That deer is just like, I'm going to fuck you up.
He's like, I'm going to fucking kill you before I bleed out.
I'm going to go down, but you're going down with me.
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's weird, too, is like, there's people who are against hunting, and then there's avid hunters. I'm somewhere in between, where it's like, I don't have this insatiable appetite to hunt anything, but I understand why people hunt animals. I understand why there's certain times of year that you would hunt certain things.
Because their population is a little bit high.
It's an ecosystem control. I get it. Yeah. And then you harvest that meat for yourself and for your family, and you support, your ability to live based upon what you kill. I totally understand it. So it's just kind of crazy in this situation that it's like hunting isn't meant to be a war. Yeah. This is a war between human and animal.
Yeah.
And they both lost.
Totally. Now,
pretty crazy.
There is some cultures by which if you do kill a deer, you're supposed to take the venison to Venice, Italy and have it blessed.
I've heard that.
Yeah, and then you take it home and then you eat it.
Yeah.
And that's just to get out the spooky vibes that might be associated with killing a living creature.
Yeah, you for sure don't want spooky vibes from your meat.
No.
That is faux damn sure.
Could you imagine eating it and you start getting possessed by a fucking demon deer? You're like, at the dinner table. You're like, what the fuck is he doing?
That'd be wild. All right. We do have a review today. We're actually reviewing the Quesada. Quesada? Quesada.
It's Quesada.
It's almost like queso.
It's Quesada.
It's Quesada, the Reserva Privada. And we're going to take a quick break. I think Chris and I are going to go eat some deer jerky.
Yeah.
We're going to take just a quick break, but we'll be back with that review here in the next few moments. Hang tight, everybody. All right, we're back.
Yeah, dude. You know what? And you know, I didn't even tell you, but I had a quesada last night.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Dude, it's so fucking delicious. Like, it's a special menu item, actually. It's not even like on the menu.
That does really sound like a some sort of Mexican cuisine.
Dude, so it is. I went to Taco Bell last night, and I get every fucking time I go to Taco Bell. I pull up, it's like, welcome to Taco Bell, what can I get you? I'm like, I need 3 quesadas. That'd be 3 tostadas? No, quesadas. We don't have that here. Yeah, you do. It's like, okay, so it's like a tostada, you know, with the beans and the cheese and the rice and the pico de gallo. But it's none of that. Take that off. It's just a tostada tortilla at the bottom with queso, like your nacho cheese, and then just pico de gallo. Quesada. Let me check. Yeah, we can do that for you. Thank you.
Doesn't Pico de Gallo sound like a pool boy?
Pretty much.
Like that would be the pool boy of some rich celebrity.
Yeah.
His name would be Pico, last name de Gallo.
But all I'm saying is get yourself a quesada at your local Taco Bell for $1.79 a quesada.
It would be really hilarious and interesting if people actually went to Taco Bell and started ordering such a menu item.
You should.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Because I do.
Yeah. See what happens. See what the outcome's going to be when you do that.
Yeah.
We've got a review today. This is actually the very first Quesada.
Yeah.
I like putting a
like queen.
I like having a qu on it.
Quesada.
But this is the very first one we've ever smoked. And I will say, this is, and we will get to it, this is a very expensive cigar. All things considered, it ain't cheap.
You like giving up your firstborn for a cigar? This is that cigar.
They are definitely, they're rather expensive.
Yeah. Plan B or quesada?
Is Plan B that expensive anymore? I thought they're just handing that out.
I mean, you can get it for free, I think.
Nice.
Thanks, Democrats.
All right, let's get into it. So we are reviewing the Quesada Reserva Privada. I had these. When did I buy these cigars? I bought them a while ago. So they've been kind of just hanging on for a little bit.
What's up with all the A's and the DAs?
I don't know.
Privada,
Quesada,
Quesada,
Reserva.
Reserva.
It's kind of ridiculous.
It's too Spanish.
It's too much.
It's too South American.
I don't like it. I say we change it.
Yeah.
But I am excited to review the cigar because, again, as I'd mentioned, this is the first one and anything in their lineup that, of course, we've ever reviewed, which is, you know, it is kind of strange because they do have some pretty popular cigars.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't an unknown organization.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they have the Oktoberfest cigar, which is the very first one that I think I ever got from them.
Yeah.
Which I actually enjoyed a lot. That's actually one of my favorite, kind of like if you're going to smoke just kind of a seasonal treat around the fall time.
Yeah.
The Oktoberfest cigar I think is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't love it, but I also
Didn't hate it
either.
Mm-hmm.
I thought
That
it was
gray
pretty good.
area.
Right.
Where you're constantly like, I need a thumbs up or thumbs down. And you're like, this?
You know, you know what it is, honestly? So what it is for me and cigars like that is like I'm only ever going to smoke that around that time frame. I'm never going to pick up that particular cigar and then go and smoke it early in the year. Not going to smoke in the winter. I'm not going to smoke it in the springtime. Not going to smoke it in the summer. It is one of those occasional type smokes, which I think is appropriate for what it is. Mm-hmm. So let's get into it. Chris, what is this thing crafted up? Actually, before we get into the craft of it, why don't you let us know how we break these bad boys down?
CCC. Each cigar review starts with a total of 60 possible points. It's broken down into 3 main categories. 10 points for construction, 20 points for burn, and 30 points for taste. We then deduct points for less than optimal construction, burn, and flavor and see if the cigar is worth the price for a possible 1% bonus or deduction. And then finally, we average out our individual scores, giving you guys our total cigar rating out of 60.
Very nice.
Thanks, Cory.
You nailed it that time.
Thank you.
Very cool. All right. Now we get into the fun stuff. Let's get into the components of the cigar. So this one is a little interesting. What I love about it, of course, is we've got that delicious Ecuadorian wrapper on this particular cigar, Dominican binder, Dominican Pennsylvanian filler.
Yeah, it's quite complex, actually.
Which is strange because the Dominican Pennsylvanian combination's weird to me because traditionally, usually, if you have Pennsylvania, at least from my case, it always has a component of Nicaraguan with it.
Yeah, usually.
So this one is a little bit different.
It's a Dominican San Vicente 1997 vintage selection from Cosecha, Pareo crops, and a Pennsylvania Lajero.
Oh, what a wonderful combination.
I love when they go into detail of what the innards are.
Now.
As if to say, oh, this is worth 14, well, you'll find that out, but $14.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, $14, $15 range. We smoked this in the Toro Gordo, which is quite a donger. 6.5 by 56. That is definitionally a donger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Robusto, we don't really call Robustos dongers. You get up in that 6-inch range, that 56 ring gauge, we're in dogger territory now.
Yeah. Absolutely, Cory. $14. Wow.
Yeah. So it does come with a little bit of, I don't even want to, it's not an inflated price because we don't know, we haven't made the justification of whether or not it's worth the price and its value yet.
Is it worth?
But we know, all things considered, it's above average in terms of cost if we were to average everything out.
Is it worth the financial security of you and your family? Children's school fees, one Quesada.
You know, the problem with that question is people like me, even if I had kids, which don't, of course you know which one I'm going to choose.
That's
the kid's going to be foregoing some number 2 pencils for the upcoming school season.
That's true.
Sorry. All right, let's get into it. Construction overall. Now, everything that we talk about here, we must consider the price point because it does come in that $14, $15 range. Yeah. So, what did you think about the construction overall?
Built like a fucking wood bat. This thing was fucking hard as a rock.
Coming right into it.
This was a big old thick donger. Oh, man. It's like this thing had Viagra running all through it.
Speaking of, little point of trivia for you. Chris, do you know what type of wood baseball bats are made of?
Walnut.
Not even close. You're actually incorrect. It is made of ash wood. They used to call them ash handles.
That makes sense.
And then they said, let's call them baseball bats.
Basically, before they were used as a recreational sport, and they were used to grind the bones of dead ones.
Yeah, of course. Everybody knows that.
Like a pedestal?
Yeah, pestle and mortar.
Pestle and mortar, not pedestal. That is something you sit on.
Is it a pestle and mortar?
Yeah, it's pestle, I think. Yeah.
Dude, that could be the name of like a new sitcom of like two best friends.
Yeah.
Pestle and mortar.
Dude, I love it. Sounds like a comedy sitcom.
It could be good. No one's steal my idea, please.
This thing is like a fucking giant wood bat.
Is that so? Are you saying that in terms of you admire the construction of this particular cigar, or I guess I'm confused.
I'm worried about gagging and knowing what it would feel like going in my rectum.
Oh, interesting.
But the reality is, you know what I kind of like about the label? Does it give you that Cuban feel?
So I love the label on these cigars. I love them, and I love the gold. I love the actual real gold.
The reflective
gold looks so fucking cool. Honestly, I'm pretty sure when I bought these cigars, this is in Chicago when I bought them, I'm pretty sure I only bought them because of the label, because they were expensive.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? It looks good, and it's a dope label. So let's go for it.
And it's a nice dark color, too.
Yeah.
And real minimal veinage, just a real smooth wrapper.
Yeah. It's a very incredible cigar, in my opinion, in terms of construction overall.
What a distinguished, prestigious cigar. So far, it's worth the $14, in my opinion, Cory.
Yeah, the construction on this cigar is outrageous. And, here's the thing. It's meant to be a premium cigar. So being a premium cigar, you expect to have a premium construction on the cigar. You expect the materials to be premium. You expect, in a sense, to have a premium label on it, even though that doesn't affect anything with the cigar. You expect all those things to be heightened at that price point, and that's exactly what this cigar was. So I think in terms of construction, I actually really enjoyed the construction on it. I thought it was a beautifully made cigar and gave it all the points in the world.
Exemplary marks.
100%. Now, let's get into burn. Chris, what did you think about the burn on this one?
Have you ever decided to get with your buddies and do a campfire experience? And you put the wood on there, and you put the kindling underneath. You got good airflow, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you light it. And the fucker just wouldn't flame up. It just wouldn't stay lit. And you're constantly in a state of throwing more lighter fluid onto the campfire to keep it going.
Interesting.
That was basically my experience. Now, I will say this. It wasn't the best draw. And when I say that, it doesn't mean that it was tight. It was actually quite airy. But one of the things I had problems with is that it took like three or four good puffs and to even get any decent smoke production and draw from it. And then even when I expelled the smoke, it was so light, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course it does.
And in circumstances like that, I feel like that's maybe attributed to a bad burn as it relates to probably not even really getting a whole lot of good flavors as well out of it when I do a draw. And unfortunately, it went out once.
Yeah.
It failed the hold test. Once the hold test, we sit the cigar down for 5 minutes. We chat around the campfire, telling spooky ghost stories or woo. And then after 5 minutes, we put it back in our mouth. If it's still lit and producing smoke, that's a good hold test. Did mine survive the hold test like my campfire experience analogy? It did not. It did not. It died on me.
It's weird in the fact that the way that you have expressed what that was like for you, how weird it runs parallel with the issues that I had with the burn.
Yeah.
Because you smoked yours. Now, I did this review. Let me go back through my notes here. I did this review. I smoked the cigar and took my notes in July 16th of 2019. So July 16th of this year. You just recently smoked this cigar yesterday.
Yeah, I had a Quesada last night.
Interestingly enough, here's what I said about the burn. Had a hard time lighting it and keeping it lit. Draw was a bit too loose. Also failed the hold test. Also had consistency issues with it actually running on me as well. So I got multiple deductions from me in terms of the burn because of how many challenges I experienced with the cigar. Now, here's the thing. Outer shell of the cigar, we talked about the construction overall. We talked about the look and the feel of the cigar, and we're thinking premium, premium, premium. We get into the burn of the cigar itself, and we have nothing but issues. So in terms of quality and the rolling process, we have to consider the fact that although it looks aesthetically pleasing, it looked like a well-built cigar. Now we're dealing with multiple issues, not just one, not just two. We're dealing with 3 or 4 different issues with the burn and consistency on this cigar.
And let me make this point too. For any of you who are unfamiliar with like the different parts of tobacco leaf, this was using Pennsylvania Ligero, and Ligero is naturally more oily than the rest of the plant. It's the highest oiliness, okay? And with that, with high oily tobacco, it burns way less.
Right.
And way less
It takes
easy.
longer to burn.
It takes longer to burn. It takes a considerable amount more of heat and almost consistent heat to stay lit. When I say that, and the cigar has Pennsylvania Ligero in the innards, which did produce a nice dark kind of ash. It was a kind of a pretty aesthetically a pretty nice looking dark ash. It just really struggled staying lit. Like the period of time by which it was lit and then it was not lit was so short. It required me to spend a significant amount of time either correcting it on the draw or drawing very frequently, which was just, I felt like a rush job.
Right.
It felt like a total rush job. I couldn't even take my time with it.
Right. Not dissimilar from the experience that I had. And really what you would want to see in something like this, and I get that there's probably a flavor that needed to be or wanted to be achieved out of this, which the apparent Pennsylvania Ligero tobacco that exists within here is probably a large component of that flavor. Of course, as we know Pennsylvania tobacco to be characteristically different. So you kind of understand what it is when you smoke it. Understanding also that it's Ligero, you would want something like that to be balanced out with some other part of the plant being either like the Seco or the Viso, which do burn much more consistently, burn much more evenly, don't expound as much oil, which keeps that burn consistent. You typically always really want to have a fine balance of that so you really don't run into some of those burn challenges. Now, I'm not saying definitively that's what it was, but given the fact that we had the issues that we had, you could almost draw it back to the fact that what Chris had said, what he'd articulated is probably exactly what had occurred and why we struggled so much with this cigar, keeping it lit ongoing. So you want to have balances created outside of just, hey, we want to achieve this flavor. You really need to be looking for making sure that you have a level of consistency too, because rushing through a cigar, as Chris has explained, I've done that many, many times. Anybody who's listening to this has probably done the same thing. It creates a harshness to the cigar, right? Cigars are not meant to be smoked to that degree that quickly. It creates a harshness to the flavors because you're continually burning them. You're not letting them cool off. You're not drawing out the wonderful smooth flavors that you should be getting. So that was an apparent challenge with this cigar, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, let's move on to flavor. So what was the flavor like? Did it achieve, from a flavor perspective, what you think it was meant to achieve?
Listen, brother. Take a moment to close your eyes for me.
Me?
I mean,
or
for the sake of
all
the
of us.
Story. Everybody, close your eyes. Actually, you don't have to close your eyes. This is a pretty cut and dry explanation I'm going to give you on the flavors. Was it lacking in the flavor department? I'll say, generally speaking, it was not lacking in any flavor department because it was punchy in all categories. And quite punchy, if that makes sense. Very dense, very pungent smells and flavors really did, have a certain amount of pronunciation in this cigar. What I got aromatically, weirdly enough, kind of floral. From a flavor standpoint, in my mouthers with the combination of my great nose sensors, kind of woody, actually very woody, very bitter and tangy, and pretty moderate spice, even from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And it stays that way. It does smooth out a little bit as you get through the cigar, but not a whole lot. It's kind of like, it's a lot heavier in the beginning, but it does smooth out towards the 25% mark and down. But here's what I'll say. While it does have a quite pungent flavor, profile, the one thing that constantly stuck out was the Pennsylvanian. And I have grown to know what Pennsylvanian tastes like in a cigar. And it is very pronounced. And it is a very unique flavor.
You for sure understand, even if you haven't smoked anything that boasts a lot of Pennsylvania tobacco, it's like once you do smoke it, you get an understanding of what it is. Even if you can't directly point it out, I think it's your brain always tells you, okay, here's this odd component in here. I wonder if that's Pennsylvania. Because we've smoked a lot of cigars here recently.
Yeah.
And of course, you're intermixing other tobaccos in with Pennsylvania. They don't typically ever stand out on their own and the filler type. You're always integrating at least Nicaraguan. There was a cigar that we'd smoked recently, and I can't remember the name of it. It was 4 different types of tobaccos, including Pennsylvanian, in the fillers of the cigar. So there's always something to balance it out to achieve different flavor characteristics, but really you can, if you smoke them enough, you can really pull out that richness of that Pennsylvania tobacco. It stands out really on its strong. Own.
And you know what? I feel like the more I smoke it, the more I feel like it's an accent flavor and not the leading role. And I feel like this one had a significant impact in the flavor, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I would have liked to see it less up front and center.
Gotcha.
That said, I mean, there was a lot of flavor in there. I would say it's probably not the best balance. Because I don't know, like when I order a quesada, like where's my nacho cheese? Where's my pico de gallo?
Right.
I didn't get any of that. And I was expecting it. I mean, for $14 when I'm normally paying $1.79 for my quesada, I want to make sure that it's fucking quality, bro.
You always want a quality quesada.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man. I hear you loud and clear. I'm on your side.
Okay.
Whoa. I'm on your side.
Whoa.
Hold up, man.
Don't have to be aggressive.
We're saying the same thing here.
Yeah. Friendly fire.
Shots fired. I agree with you a little bit in terms of the flavor. I do think there's stuff that's kind of all over the place. What I liked about this cigar, and this is a characteristic of cigars that I really enjoy when I get it, and actually the one that I always think of the most is the 2018 Mule Kick from Crowned Heads. Has this weird pretzel type flavor to it when you smoke it. Mm-hmm. I get the exact same thing from this particular cigar, which I enjoy to a high degree. So already right there from a flavor perspective, I enjoyed it a lot. I do think the flavors are kind of all over the place because you do get a spice rush up front, which kind of becomes more subtle through the remainder of the cigar, and then you get this weird kind of roller coaster balance of like sweet and tangy, but some things almost overpronounced, some things underpronounced, some things where you anticipate a change and you want it and it doesn't happen and another thing occurs. It just seemed to be kind of all over the place. It's a cigar of which there's times that we talk about we like the roller coaster ride. We think this is, in my opinion, this roller coaster wasn't built well.
You know what this was
like. It gives you the ride, but it's almost like for me, I want more consistency with the flavors and less of the surprises because the surprises weren't. I enjoyed the flavors on their own. I think they could have achieved a better balance.
Same. The flavors were there. Like there was a lot of flavors throughout. This was like watching a bunch of 6-year-olds do a stage play of Hamlet. You know it's going to be chaotic as fuck on stage.
Right.
That's what this was.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there is a level of chaos to this cigar in terms of the flavors themselves.
Yeah.
And with the burn issues and challenges makes it even worse. But I like what flavors I did get. I really, there was some really cool. Them.
Like I don't know if you got it or not, but like when any retrohale or any just brief moment where from a drawl I'm in like breathing in a little bit of the smoke, it had a floral component that was really lovely to it.
Yeah, it's extremely aromatic too. I do remember, and I even made notes in here, is that on the retrohale, this is a very enjoyable cigar.
Yeah, it's cool as hell, man.
Yeah. I like the cigar flavor overall and in totality. I just wish it could have achieved a little bit
more finesse.
Just a little bit better of a balance, and I think it would have been much better than what it was. I agree. Again, and I wanted to make sure that everybody who was listening to this was understanding that does come at a pretty hefty price point in that $14, $15 range. Yes, which you're going to pay per stick. Now, also understanding that this is a pretty big donger, and it is a Toro Gordo at 6.5 by 56. So it is a very large cigar. It is one that you're likely to smoke if it was smoking as intended and you didn't have to rush the experience. You're likely going to get somewhere in the 2.5 hour range in this cigar.
God, yeah, it's somewhere so dense, man. Like
very dense cigar. It
took me an hour 45 on mine.
It's definitely meant to smoke for a long time given the Vitola. So that being said, Chris, everything that we've discussed, I'm assuming, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't give it a price bonus.
No.
Did you give it a price delta?
Listen. We got to remember that this was built with Dominican San Vicente 1997 vintage.
Whatever that means.
A Dominican San Vicente 1997 vintage selection from Caseco Pareja crops with a Pennsylvania Lajero. You know what that sounds like, right?
Sounds like a lot of marketing.
That's like taking a person from Kentucky and matching him with someone from a high class, like Venice, like, stature, like a high profile individual,
like a royalty or
like
nobility,
kind of,
right?
Yeah. But matched with a man from the hills of Kentucky or Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Here's the thing. Maybe the names were thrown out there to make it sound like it's premium quality, right?
Could be.
The brand is more than reputable. Slap that thing with the $14 price tag. My opinion, this is just my opinion, is not worth $14. In fact, I would prefer to see this at a $10 range.
Sure.
And that's my opinion. So I do not think it's worth the price. Therefore, court has ruled in the state of Pennsylvania that
Guilty of
overpriced, guilty on poor bun.
Guilty. Now, here's where I'm going to conclude this. I cheated a little bit.
You cheated?
I cheated a little bit. Now, I told you that I reviewed this cigar back in July, which is the truth.
Yeah.
However, what is not the truth is I have smoked plenty of these as of recent.
Oh.
So.
Oh, God.
When it comes to the pricing piece of this cigar.
Did you go to the dark side?
I've injected recent experiences.
Yeah.
I did not change the score of this particular review.
Yeah.
However, what I did was I negated the pricing delta that I assigned to this particular review, knowing of what could be achieved with this cigar. Now, I am sorry I have lied under oath, and that is my bad, and I will apologize for it. What I will not apologize for is how great this cigar can be, knowing the things that I know. It achieved a level of greatness, overall experience, wonderful flavors that we did not have the ability to articulate given the reviews that we performed here today. I am here to tell you that this cigar is, in fact, worth the $14 that you'll pay for it.
Counselor, it looks like we had ourselves a hang jury.
I felt it necessary, given the fact that I did review this and I kept my review score and every other category the same. The only thing that I changed was the delta. Knowing what I know, smoking 3 of these in the previous months, this cigar, I'm telling you, when it smokes as intended, when it burns as intended,
it's good.
Is a really fucking good cigar.
I think me overly chiefing on it really fucked up the flavors.
Yeah, I had the same experience. My notes are the exact same thing that you said when I smoked this cigar back in July, but I've had it as a recent. Like, I've had 2 or 3 more of them in just the recent 3 months, and I'm telling you, every single one I smoked after this first one, I went, oh my God, that's good. Like, it wowed me how well it.
Damn.
So when it is burning well and it's achieving everything that you would want to or as intended, those flavors, I'm not saying the flavors balance anymore, but the smoking experience overall is just a whole lot better. I still get the same flavors. I still get some of that unachieved balance that you kind of look for, but the overall experience is so much better. Yeah. And really at that point, I look at it, given the fact that it's a 6.5 by 56, there's a lot of tobacco there. It's a big cigar. I look at it and go, yeah, you know what? I did pay $14 for it, and I'd probably pay $14 for it again in certain occasions.
Counselor, I just want to ask you this one last question before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
You watch baseball?
No, sir.
No, sir. Do you understand the rules of baseball? Do you understand the statistical analysis of baseball players?
Yes, sir.
Sir, what would you say to this man, that woman, that child that's sitting in the back of the audience of this courtroom? What would you say this Quesada's batting average would be, so?
I'd say she's batting about 300.
I'll rest my case.